How do you do, fellow kids? Know why I keep quoting that episode of 30 Rock? Steve Buscemi on 30 Rock? Anyone? No one. Let's take a look at the Rare Triumphs Tarot by Ian Cumpsey. And this is a deck that's been around for a while. I mean, this is not, I'm not lately sort of like breaking news tarot at all, but so I had known about this for a while and hadn't really paid much attention because I actually have not been buying many decks lately. Just nothing, you know, it's like I have, so I'm surrounded by them and I have so many that I love and use regularly. But so I'd known what this was. I didn't back it on Kickstarter, but I, you know, had seen it around and I see it on Instagram from time to time. And then when I did my video on all my Marseille decks, Esther from Mindful Tarot said, "Oh, have you seen this?" And I said, "You know, I have, and I am going to order it right now." And I did. Because I guess I needed something to brighten my day. And I also ordered another deck recently that I will probably show too, because why not? But if you're unfamiliar with this, this is a deck that is a tarot deck with playing card suits and a sort of Marseille decorative hybrid. And then sort of a reimagined but familiar Trumps, set of Trumps with some additional cards. And so before I hopped on to make this video, I did something I should do more often, which is I did a little research on the deck and the creator. And if you go to northerndisplayers.co.uk, which is the artist's and creator's website, you can both get the deck and read about their impressions, both of the order of the Trumps and sort of what they're generally doing. This isn't inspired by any one particular deck. It's inspired by historical decks sort of broadly and with a Marseille kind of flavor. And it comes with just a little just fold out sheet that kind of encapsulates the majors, the Trumps. And they have different names. Some of them have different names, so that might be useful for you. There is also a spot on the website where you can go to read Ian's interpretations of the format or the structure of the Trumps. But it's a great deck, and I really like it a lot, so I'm happy to share it. And, you know, I'm all about sort of indie decks. It has the same flaws I think most Marseille or historical decks have, which is, once again, we're getting paperwhite faces. Now, that's common across all Marseille decks, really, because they didn't color the faces at all, and also the assumption was that they were, you know, white European. And it's 2021, and I'd certainly love to see more representation, and I know I'm not alone in that. That being said, I guess my other thing I don't like about it, it's not that I don't like about it, the cardstock's great. I am a klutz, and it's very slippy. And so, like, as soon as I open the box, I send all the cards flying everywhere because they are slippy. Now, it shuffles great, so it's not a problem. It's just that I am a klutz, and I mess things up. So let me zoom in a skosh, and we'll just talk through. So this is the Fool, actually. Now, I didn't know that until I did some research on the website. So there are a handful of unnumbered cards, which I will likely, unusual for me, I will likely keep in the deck. So this is the Fool. Then we have the Trickster, the Wanderer, and the Player. And all of these are unnumbered. Only the Fool is unnamed, and I think Death later on is as well. But so you get these additional cards, and I'll probably keep them in, because why not? The back is the same as the box, and I think it's pretty dope. And then we have this sort of title card, which I thought was really nice as well. And this was inspired by a deck of playing cards the creator had made called, I think, the Pike and Clover deck. So here's card one. This would traditionally be the Magician. We have the Worker. And the way that Ian structures the majors, the Trumps, there are, let me see if I can actually quote what he says. Why can I not return to the page where I found this? Rare Triumphs. Available to order. You to play the specs for the cards. I know I read it on his website. All right, well, I can't find it. But anyway, he structures like the first 5 represent sort of the lowest level sort of on Earth, you know, people on Earth. And so we have the worker, the teacher, the merchant, the nobleman, and the president. Now, if you know traditional tarot, you can draw a line between these cards to some degree. It's not an even trade. So this isn't sort of, if you're a tarot traditionalist, as I can sometimes tend to be, you know, it's a little bit of a stretch for you, I would say, to sort of find in the magician the worker, although not impossible. The teacher, I think, in the Papist, you could sort of draw a line, certainly the way the Golden Dawn talks about the High Priestess. The merchant and the empress might be a stretch for you, and the nobleman and the emperor, that makes some sense. And then the president and the pope, sort of a secular, it's a secularization really of the cards. But I do think that they're interesting and usable archetypes, if you want to go with that term, or I tend to say metaphors when I'm talking about the Trumps these days. And so then we get into these, the rest of the Trumps have fairly familiar titles, not all of them. So we have love, victory, justice as 8, time, fortune. I actually really love this card because I often hate Wheels of Fortune, and strength. So instead of Hanged Man, we have downfall, which I think is interesting because, you know, traditionally the Hanged Man really is being punished for something. So as a card interpretation, I think that's cool. I also just sort of love that he's riding this donkey backwards. Death is fairly traditional. Temperance, obviously. Chaos and Thunderbolt instead of the devil and the tower. And again, kind of secularizations of the Christian images that we know from the Trumps. And then we have the star, the moon, the sun, and then judgment becomes fame, and the world becomes eternity. And so those are the Trumps, and I think they're definitely really cool. And I did do a reading for myself earlier today with this, so this isn't, you know, I'm trying more and more not to do just unboxings unless it's a deck that, you know, I'm really excited to kind of crack open and share my first impressions with you. I want to give you some considered point of view. The pips are gorgeous, and so, but they're playing cards rather than Marseille. Now, the one downfall I have when using decks like this is I sometimes, in the heat of the moment, will switch my remembrance of the suits. So I might suddenly think, oh, diamonds are, you know, pentacles. Or, you know, diamonds are pentacles. Diamonds are wands, for example. And actually, you can see that I did that here because I put the diamonds first, and really, clubs should go first. But at any rate, so they're beautifully done. Let me turn this upside down. And just really pretty, you know. I won't dwell on them because they're pip cards, you know, they're playing cards, but they're just sort of this Marseille playing card hybrid, and in the vein of like the Playing Marseille by Ryan Edwards, which you know, very very sort of similar idea, much thicker deck, different card stock, but another one that I really love. So here we have the Jack, the Knight, the Queen, and the King. And so when this deck was originally created, it was a playing card deck. So it did not have Trumps and it did not have Knights. So those were added to this particular edition, but I think it's a great addition. So here's the suit of hearts. I love this sort of brickwork on the hearts. I wonder, you know, was that an intentional call for some reason, but I do really like it. And then we have the Jack, Knight, Queen, and King. And then we get into spades or swords. I do like these sort of arrowhead spades. That's cool. And then finally clubs. So those are the cards. Let me just zoom out and I'll shuffle a little for you so you can see. I mean, it's absolutely playing card stock. It shuffles just like a playing card deck. The interesting thing about playing cards is that there's only 52 rather than, in this case, what, 70, 82? So, you know, it's a little bit meatier, but it's really easy to shuffle, you know, and it shuffles sort of like a dream. You know, they're gonna slip, you might bend some. I think they'll kind of easily just bend back. They're definitely laminated. You know, and not everyone is as rough with their cards as I tend to be. I'm very sort of aggressive shuffler. But I think it's really cool. I really like it a lot. And I absolutely will use this. I think, you know, having this different suit of, usually I'm very kind of like, please don't change the titles. Just, I get it. They're old, they're Christian, but like I'm a tarot reader and those are, I've learned to work with those titles. I've learned to work around those titles, but I don't mind these for some reason. And sometimes that just happens where I'm like, okay, I'm on board. You know, and I know that number one is the Magician. So if I need to reach for that, you know, I have that in my head. So, you know, you don't ever lose anything you've gained when you pick up a deck like this. If you want to draw an association between an older card and what you have in your hands, I think there's nothing wrong with that. Whoops. So, yeah, I love this. I think it's super cool. So this is the Rare Triumps playing card, or rather tarot cards, by Ian Cumpsey. I'm saying that wrong. I know I am. I practiced before. It's Cumpsey. So I really try to get people's names right and I fail. But here we go. I love this and I'm happy to have it in the collection and I think it's really dope. So I hope you enjoyed this as always. I have another deck coming in soon too that I'm going to do. I'll probably do an unboxing of that one because I do want to sort of record my first impressions of it. It's a deck that I've seen most of already anyway, but so stay tuned for that probably within the next couple days, depending on international shipping. It's coming from the Philippines. But yeah, so take care, be good, and we'll see you soon.